Bert! Get him! Yeah! Ron Babe was right.
I'm feeling spry. Hey, happy Labor Day. I told you it was coming. I've been telling you for weeks, didn't I? Like, it's going to be here before you know it. I'll be leaving on Wednesday, heading down to Virginia to pop off some doves. I got friends of mine that were out goose hunting, and they're going to be dove hunting today. In fact, I'm going to have a podcast next Saturday to do a little comparison, or next Sunday, to do a little comparison. Dove from the Dakotas to Virginia. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait. But I've been telling you. So here, the checklist. Okay, do you have the title sponsor of this show on X Hunt? Do you have it? I know you do. I know most of you do. I know like 11 of you that are putting it off. You can use the promo code HDP20. Save some money when you do sign up. But I've been warning you. You gotta have this. This is what you need. Okay, you got your Onyx, right? Did you get your Gunner Kennel? You got a new dog? Never had a dog before? Are you one of my new listeners? Did you buy a cheap, crappy kennel? Please tell me you didn't. Please tell me you didn't. You should have your dog in a Gunner Kennel, and if you really want to spoil them, you should have a bed in the house. My bed's out in the kennel for my dogs, but they just came out with another over-engineered piece of dog equipment, just like everything, the food crates, the bumpers, everything. Do you have DU Supply's number on your contact list? And I would put it in the speed dial category, or like with a little star, just in case you need something that you bought from them. Let's say you bought your last Garmin from them, right? Let's say you bought it, and just by some terrible chance of luck, you ran it over with the back tire of your truck because you're a nitwit, and you call up them. They'll sort it out. They will sort it out with Garmin. They'll send a Pony Express driver. I mean, it might be cheaper to use like FedEx, but depending on your location to them. So you should have W on your speed dial. Garmin, you already got it. I know you do. I know only like 4 of you that don't use it. You'll eventually use it, and you will go to DU Supply. Garmin's got a new, I can't say it. I almost said it. Well, there's something new coming out. Yeah, it harkens back to the beginning days of my bird hunting career. That's all I can say about it. It harkens back. I love it. Did you get your canine athlete for the dog? Hydrate and recover at a minimum for you and the dog. You can get wilderness athlete, canine athlete, so you can both take these long walks on these early warm days. Your dog's going to appreciate it. You're going to appreciate it. Did you pick up your Mossberg yet? Did you pick up the 410 I was telling you about, 28 gauge? Did I tell you there was a 16 gauge coming out? Oh, yeah. Yeah, did you get it yet? No. All right, did you? I know most of you shoot Boss. I know a lot of you shoot Boss. Most would be like 51%. So I'm just going to say a lot of you. That could be like 49%. I know a lot of you shoot Boss. Do you look at the emails? Did you see that the legacy Boss bismuth copper-plated is no more? They are gone, okay? And they've got new non-tox ammo coming out. I've got a case right now sitting on the shelf over here, right outside the kennel door, getting ready to load my truck tomorrow. I got the new steel dove load. I opened it up. I shook the shit. It didn't look like steel. Of course, they came up with some kind of a coating that's gonna, leave it to Boss to come up with the best non-tox. And I'll give you a full report next Sunday when I do a podcast from dove hunting. Is your Purina Pro plan? Do you have enough bags for? I mean, sometimes you can get a deal on bags, and you should try use the food. No, not the food. What is it called? The club. The little weight circle. You can save quite a few dollars with those weight circles and be part of the Pro Club. I got 2. I'm down to 2 bags now. I'm taking one with me to Virginia, Not going to need the whole bag, but I'm going to bring it in a Gunner Kennel food crate, so it's never going to go bad. Then I'm going to fill the other crate with food so my wife can take care of the 2 dogs I'm not bringing. And then I'm going to combine them. I'm going to put probably you can put 50 pounds of food in this damn thing. And it's going to be full of Purina Pro Plan, period. That's all my dogs eat. That's all they've ever eaten. I've got all my marshwear for dove season. They've got, it's from the Carolinas, right? It's got that low country dove hunting, quail hunting feel. When you wear marsh, it doesn't scream out like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's camos that scream out that look like you're in like you just got off of a military base. Then there's camos that just look classy. Everything from marshwear is classy. I'm wearing a pair of marshwear shorts right now, and my wife even commented to me when I put them back on at the pool. She goes, "Those look good on or off you." My Arxis boots are packed. Well, I'm blessed, of course, because these sponsors also have me wear and use and shoot and go through all these products. I've got my Arxis Joe Furs because it's been rainy down in Virginia, and I don't like wet feet. And those boots will then stay in that truck because I got some older gum leaves from Jack back in the day, so I got those too, I'm being honest. But those Joe Furs will be in my truck the entire season. You just don't know when you're going to need rubber boots. And when you do need rubber boots, you call up Jack at Arxis USA. That's ARXUS. It's really hard phonetically to come up with that. You'll figure it out. That's it. Well, no, that's not it. I want to welcome new patrons. There's Greg, Hunter, and this one was a little suspicious. Debbie. Okay, so first of all, I'm a name freak. Nobody names their kids Debbie anymore. A very popular name back in the day. And I just went to my 50th class reunion, and my first wife, Debbie, was there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hadn't seen her in 40 years. So I got a new patron named Debbie. The last name's not ringing a bell. So I don't know. Maybe after all these years, she's gonna follow me. Who knows? I hope not. Well, maybe she does. Yeah, maybe she'll turn into a hunter. And yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, and I want to apologize for I should apologize for this every other episode, but when I do a Zoom link, it's usually a very listenable audio. I don't send this out to some studio, and I don't worry about it's content. It's not the quality of sound, but we don't want bad sound. This podcast I had to do. Patty and Blaine Carter, old friends of mine in NAVHDA, we wanted to kind of reminisce, talk about what we love, what the best parts of our organization are or were, and some of the things that need to be changed. And the problem with where their camp is, which is called, I think it's Watafakawi. Yeah, I think it's called Watafakawi. They don't have any computer service up there, so they got their phone. They drove to some spot. They had like 3 bars, closed the windows on the truck, and I had to record old school with my microphone dongle to the – anyway, I had to have my daughter clean up the recording. There was a click, 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 and I think that was coming from something in the kennel. Anyway, so the audio, there's a couple little scratchy spots in it, but don't worry. It's good content, and you will enjoy it. And, you'll hear Blaine and I talking about, and Patty, how we miss certain things about, we're always going to miss things in the past. But it doesn't mean we can't have them back, and it doesn't mean we can't long to get back there again. And we don't really talk about the upcoming election of board of officers for NAVHDA, but we both agree there needs to be a change, okay? And that change needs to happen. If you like the stories you hear from Blaine and I, mostly Blaine, if that's what you see for a vision, you got to vote for a change. Period. That's right. Some things got to go. Or is what were those pilots? The pilots those Korean air pilots that somebody spoofed the radio station, and one of the pilots' name was, what was it? Something Wong. Okay, there's Something Wong, And I think Jake Bartels is going to be able to fix it. And I'm happy to help him if I can in any way. Have a good one. Have a good season. Let me know. Send pictures. I'll be looking for everybody's stuff. We'll have, I don't know when the next Zoom one will be. But, yeah, I wanted to welcome those new patrons, Greg, Hunter, and Debbie.
Hey, everybody. I am on the phone with Blaine and Patty Carter. Now, if you don't know those names, you haven't been in NAVHDA more than 6 months. And if you do know those names, you're in NAVHDA. And this is going to be I wanted to do this episode with both of them. Patty and Blaine's history with NAVHDA and testing and judging and raising puppies and helping their community of dog people. I don't want to brag for you, but I think it's second to none from all indications I've heard. I've only spent one test weekend at your place, and there's just a pretty good vibe over there. There's some New England lobster vibe that you give to everybody. And so first, let's just do it just for the couple people who listen who don't know who we're talking about. Give me just a little background backdate to when you started NAVHDA, Blaine and Patty.
Well, I just start really quick, Ron, because I was, a mother of 2 very young children and didn't have a lot to do other than raise my children. So I was reading the newspaper and I said, "Hey, Blaine, it's a hunting dog event in Bodenham." So we packed the kids up and our 2 Weimaraners, and we headed off to Bodenham to see what it was all about. And here we are, 50 some years later, talking to you.
50 some years later. God.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
I remember the first time I met both of you, I think was in Baltimore at an annual meeting. And for some reason I could understand Patty just fine, but I couldn't understand Blaine at all.
I don't understand that, Ron.
Because you had a very heavy, what do they call the accent? Yankee? What do they call it? New England?
I guess you could call it a New England accent.
Yeah. No. Down east.
Down east. That's...
We can't blame it on mustard.
So you started
It's a Maine accent. That's it.
Yeah, I'm the real deal.
Yeah, you've been there.
Yeah.
How long did it take you guys before you became members of NAVHDA, or was it just okay, we're gonna do it?
Oh, well, we went to Bodenham and we watched a NAVHDA. It was, we didn't see a NA dogs, but they were doing utility. And I watched these dogs doing utility, and I had just come out of the military. We really hadn't even have a job at that point. But I came home because I wanted to go hunting, and I always loved bird hunting, and I never had a bird dog, but I wanted to get involved with that portion of it. And I saw these versatile hunting dogs, and man, was I hooked. I was got hooked on that one. I mean, they nailed me good. I had to have one of them dogs. I was going to train them and have one. And I bought it. I bought it hook, line, and sinker.
The dogs really were not. They were not in that same category as we were watching at. They they were pets. We got the first one was the first Weimaraner we got, Rip. Blaine got him out of the death row in the military in Japan and changed his name and changed his age, and we rescued him from being put down, and he stayed with us his entire life. And then I thought it'd be really cool to get a matching set of Weimaraner. So this one, poor Tama, we named her Tama after a river in Japan, but she didn't point. She retrieved very well. We sent her out to get the firewood.
Oh, I swear to God, that dog taught me more about pointing than any dog in my life. Anyone had an idea and that was the neat thing back there in NAVHDA. I mean, we were a small group, but boy, if we had a problem, you could get on the phone or call somebody, and everybody had an idea. Have you tried this? Have you done that? And I tried everything known. I probably invented some things. I know. I couldn't get that point.
I remember, I have you on before. In fact, we did a podcast in your I call it your sunroom, trophy room years ago when I came up and judged there. But I remember you had to Weimaraner, like I remember a Weimaraner in the story, not two. And so when you went to this test, now you saw versatile dogs that were actually pointing. So
Like,
On their own. I mean, by themselves. By themselves. There was no motivation in stopping at all for Manwith. They were actually doing it like they supposed to.
and I think I mean, we never tested those dogs. Oh my God, never. It was not even a thought. We were just learning about the system and learning about the organization. And like you asked earlier, I think it was 19, let's see, Jason was born in 74. So 75, we probably joined the organization. He did. I just was that tag along, the wife that followed and, but I didn't join it.
Oh, she was.
Down the road, it caught up.
Oh my God, she was a cook.
field marshal, I'm sure. Test
Oh my God.
test secretary, sure.
Oh my God. I was a gunner, birth planner, duck chucker.
Yeah.
I can remember running out in the field with Jason in an Indian pack on my back and a bag full of quail. We were running quail at the time. And we had to run two. Back then, we ran quail and pheasants.
Right.
A big bird. You had to have a big bird. And I'd be planting those quails, digging a hole with my foot, creating those little pockets and chucking them in the pockets and going down the field. And then Jason come out of that Indian pack one day, and I caught him right midair, right in front of me. I had a handful of quail. I had a quail in one hand, Jason in the other. I don't know why he's a bird under the day. I thought it probably shocked him with that bird looking him in the face, but
He probably got a little PTSD out of it. Next time you put him in that, the next time you
He
put him in
was
that,
judge. It must have done something good.
I must have done something. He's a dog trainer and a judge today, so he's doing pretty well.
well, maybe those early childhood experiences aren't allowed to color us because I've been with Jason and he doesn't seem to. I don't know if he's afraid of going in a pack frame though. He still might have that. He still might have a little phobia about somebody putting him into like a parachute harness or a tree sling.
Yeah, bundle him up in any way.
But-
Oh my God, I have him on my back, and I'd be trucking across the field, planting birds, and for the dogs.
No, going back in those days, we hauled the kids and the dogs everywhere in our little Subaru, put a crate on top, and there were no dogs in that crate. But that's the only way we could fit everybody in. We stuffed everything in the crate and headed to Connecticut because the Northeast chapter was the chapter of our region back in the day.
Yeah, down in Simsbury, Connecticut. Yeah.
So you use
3 hours down.
did you use your transportation crate as your rooftop luggage carrier and then unload it all and then put the dog in the crate?
Yes, all the sleeping bags went in the crate,
And we camped out. We couldn't afford to get
we couldn't afford hotels in back there.
tents.
So we pitched the tent and packed everything out and say, "Oh my God!"
Yep.
If the door popped open, we would have been in trouble.
You'd have been like Chevy Chase when they had to tie grandma to the roof.
It's exactly. I mean, we were pretty much
You look like the
deal.
Let's be honest. You look like the
A really, really quick story. And fast forward to whatever year it was, we went to Quebec. I went to when in let's see, Fredericton, New Brunswick. They had a test, and we went up there. The first thing that happened was we pulled in the Subaru and we had a flat tire. That was the first thing. The next thing, I was driving an ATV three-wheeler, and which I had never done before, and I didn't realize you gotta shift your body weight to turn it right down the side of someone's brand new Volvo. Another thing, Missy begged us all weekend to ride in that same three-wheeler. Finally, she did. The guy flipped her off the back. She burnt her leg. We go to emergency. Blaine throws the dog in the water so he can complete his measurability test, and we head back to Maine. Lost our luggage off the roof on the way back to Maine. Back across the border. 3 or 4 times looking for it. Never found it. But we didn't quit. We kept
That would be that's enough. I would tap out. I would just tap out. I say not worth it.
Oh, it was we see it more. You know, it was kind of neat because back then in Fredericton, they were just starting the chapter, and we were involved in helping them get, setting up their clinics and getting their dogs ready for testing, and giving them how training exercises to do. So we were even back in the early days, we were helping somebody do something with a develop. I'll tell you what fired me up. I can remember because back in that time, the versatile hunting dog wasn't known like it is today. I mean, if you told them you had a versatile hunting dog, they go, nah, you get a lab, but good. If you want to go duck hunting, get a lab. If you're going to go bird hunting, get a bird dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the mindset. So I was sitting at, back then was Maine Bird Dog Club because we were running in the trials back then. I would do anything to learn about dog training, anything to do with the outdoors. So I trying everything. And I was sitting there and a guy said to me, he says, there's no such thing as versatility in these dogs. Don't give me that crap. Well, that fired me up. And I swore at that time, I can remember talking with Patty. I said, Patty, before I flip over, I am going to put the versatile hunting dog in the state of Maine on the records.
So that's, yeah, I never thought about that when you said that. Even when I started, which was years after you in NAVHDA, but still in the 90s or late 80s, you didn't hear the word versatile. Every once in a while, somebody would run an article in a magazine about it, but it was still kind of, you just said you had a bird dog or you had a retriever back in the day, right? You didn't really talk about doing both with it. So when did you, it's kind of a fast forward leap and we may have to go back to an old story. When did you feel like you wanted to become more involved with, you're already involved with planting birds and chapter setups and tests and bringing kids to, you're more involved than most people, but it was probably more common. When did you say I'd like to start judging some of these dogs? Did it take a while for you to want to do that?
No, back then, see, I had just come out of the military, and I was the NCOIC in charge.
Don't mind this brief blade. It says, Ron, it says, engine will shut down in 4 minutes.
What will?
We got it. We're good.
Okay.
So,
We're good now.
anyways, to give American Turkey, they were back there. The people that were doing it was Don Smith and Steve Babine, and which were active in our area at those times, and Paul Van Hanberg and Paul Jensen and all that. And that bunch were just coming on. Anyways, they looked at me and they said, well, what was it like, Dan, doing military dogs? So I was telling them how we trained military dogs, how we got them to do things. And then they would tell me how they got the versatile hunting dogs to go. And the next minute I know, they told me that I was going to be a judge. I said, you're going to have to work at this. And I had to go out and do some things. And, it was really, I would be planting birds or shooting or doing something for the chapter some way, right? Mm-hmm. But I have to run. And back then it said to be a judge, you only had to run a dog successfully. I had 2 Weimaraners. How the hell you get successful out of those? The ones I had anyways. And God forbid, I know there's some great Weimaraners out there, and I don't need to do anything.
We're not late.
But I can tell you, right, I was come out of a show ring, and they were not talented at all. And I was behind a rock in a hard place, right? So anyway, Steve Babine ended up giving me a puppy, and he gave it to me on a Wednesday and told me I had to run it on Saturday in the naturability talk. I haven't seen this dog. I got a prize 3 with that dog on Saturday. And I'm going to tell you right now, I thought I hit the megabucks. I was doing the big dance out there in the field. I was so excited. I was so proud of myself for a prize 3. And
Oh.
it was a prize 3, week prize 3. I think I got a 2 in tracking or something, and they might have gave it to me. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, I was so proud of myself for that score. It was just amazing. And then after that, and we would have these, oh my God, we have these discussions. It was great talking. Don had a photographic memory, and he was very instrumental in setting up the scorecards to what we know today. It was his scoring system and the way he did things, and it got adopted. But it was neat to talk to him because he could remember. He would remember everything that happened that day, and then we would talk. Why did they do it? What in the breeding program was causing this? What did the dog not have that was not achieving the scores that they wish they could get? And we'd have these wicked, neat discussions, test after test after test. We'd sit down, have a couple of beers, and just did nothing but talk dogs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's, I would say, similar to my first memories. Ken Whitney was one of my mentors and first judges, and he would always
I
break.
had him as an apprentice.
Did you really?
Yeah.
God, Ken's, I think, a little older than you. Maybe. And he would always break it down into, like, would you hunt there? Would you do this when you're hunting? Is that good enough for when it's hunting? And it didn't seem, the emphasis was always on the hunting side of it. And he would say, like, why did that dog, he would do the same thing. Like, why did that dog do that? And then you'd have to think about it. Cause then I'm fast forward into the last years when I judged a lot, we would just give a score to people. And well, I should back that up, Blaine. You can picture this, and you guys have seen the closing of more tests than probably anybody in NAVHDA. We always said as judges, if you have any questions after you hear your score, we'll come up and please come up and we'll give you our explanation. But we need all of our notes from all of our judges because it's a consensus, and we literally have to talk each other into a score sometimes, so to speak. And I remember the line of people they'd be in line to ask us about it. Do you remember that too, Blaine?
Well, back, and I'll really push it now, back in the day, I mean, we'd had discussions like, wait a minute, isn't that out of Welsh? Isn't that out of Fritter? And he says, yeah, it's out of Fritter. And I said, well, geez, if you knew Fritter, I hunted with Fritter. And, one of the things, and then we talked about hunting, and then how I think some of this is coming out of her. I don't think coming out of Rex, it's coming out of Fritter. He goes, I think you're right, And no, this score makes it in the next way. It's not, they didn't care about the score. They were thinking, well, if I breed, where am I going to go? And I says, well, we're a very narrow pool right now. And then we get talking about dog breeding. And where were the available males that had the character necessary to carry what they wanted to do?
So it sounds like what you're saying, you guys would break it down into, like, the dogs are doing this because the dogs are doing this because it's in the gene pool. You guys weren't like, you weren't, the score wasn't part of it. It was what the dog was doing and how you could, obviously we could improve it with training techniques, but you were almost doing like a little genealogy thing at the end of a test.
Well, it was one of the things I think as breeders in the United States, we go on proficiencies. We're very strong at recognizing the proficiencies of an animal, but I don't think we look at the um, social side of the characteristic, where the where the disposition of the animal is reacting into the hunt or the testing process, and it's those dispositions that give you. Well, it gives you the balance. Either they're cooperative, non-cooperative. They can't hold it. They're out of balance. Where are they out of balance? Those kind of questions come to surface, and nothing's better than an honest bunch of breeders talking. Yeah, I know where it come from. It came from da da da. 2 breedings ago, I made a mistake going to this male, or those conversations we used to have all the time.
Yeah, that just makes you fall more in love with the whole thing too. And as a or maybe it's not in love with it, but you feel like you're becoming a little bit of a historian about something you're passionate about.
Oh,
How, and this is just a way not off subject question, but would you say if you went past 3 or 4 generations, could you still see a goofy behavior pop up from a great grandma or something? Like, oh, she used to spin around in her kennel too. Like, or does it kind of dilute after a lot of generations? Do you ever get a feeling for that, Blaine?
yeah, I do. I think our gene pool gets pretty narrow if you think of it from the NAVHDA perspective of where we're going. The co-proficiency, the education, the neat thing that happened in the dog world, I believe, and it's educating a lot of people right now, is the fact that there was not much money. I mean, back in the day, Purina wasn't even there was a Purina Chow or something like that.
Yeah.
Most of us were feeding Blue Seal, right? We didn't look at diets the way we look at them today. But all of a sudden, the money came into it, and now the educated animal behaviorists towards the behaviorists are looking at it. There's all kinds of these young kids coming on board, bringing information in. The studies are coming in there. The monies are there to support them for when they get out of college. There's all kinds of these jobs that have brought a lot of information. But I don't hear us talking about, yeah, well, you might talk a little bit, or we throw it in the magazine, or we don't get into the nuts and bolts of the dog in regards to its training or hunting like we used to have. It was incredible back in the day, because we all wanted it. We all thought we could get the perfect dog. We were waiting for that 204 score. It never happened. If you got a prize 3 dog in this country, you were a guru.
Yeah,
You do, professor.
You surpassed me by 20 years of judging. So I would see, let's say I would see a lot of prize 3s and 2s, an occasional prize 1. You just didn't see a prize 1 to speak of early on, probably.
You know when the first 204 occurred?
No, I don't.
It happened in Maine, and it was Jim Kavanaugh's Gretchen. And Jim was the vice president of NAVHDA at the time. He died of cancer, brain cancer, and Gretchen. And I can remember when walking out of the field, and I think Bob West and I was judging, and walking out of the field, and he's hollers up to his wife, and he said, "Get the fry pan."
The last event was the drag, and that was the only thing that would have kept him off, and Gretchen aced it, and he yelled at his wife, "Get the fry pan."
Get the fry pan. Yeah.
God, that had
The good old days. It's fun.
That was an amazing run. Just an amazing run.
Yeah, that'd be like seeing your local Little League team, somebody go to the majors, yet even though you never even got to see a major league game. Like, wow. That's, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jim went that next year. They had the first ever, I don't think they called it an invitational.
No, it wasn't
It was like the vet test that they invited all the sports magazine folks, and and writers, and it was in the Midwest, I think, Tennessee, in that area.
Yeah.
And Jim ran that invitational, whatever. Maybe they did call it the
It
invitational.
was a Vance gun dog.
Okay, yeah. So he ran that, and he and Gresham passed. It was pretty cool.
Wow. That had to be what, in the 70s or 80s?
Just early 80s.
Early 80s.
Really.
And we ran, I hunted with Jim. Jim was a very good friend, and he was president of our dog club and our chapter. And we used to go down. I'd hunt with him down in New Hampshire on Sundays. He hunted with me up here on weekends, and we bounced back and forth with each other.
Those little brew with a kettle on top.
A little brew with a kennel on top. It's just like that. And I hunted with, I'll tell you, Gretchen was a moving little, how she put it together that day, I have no idea. If you knew Gretchen like we knew Gretchen hunting, you would have said, no way in hell this dog would ever be able to do that. And God, she pulled it.
Now, is that back to the days when the duck search was released from the bank, or was that after that?
Yes. Yeah, it was more like the German testing search behind the duck.
Yeah.
We kicked it off the bank. What you gotta understand with NAVHDA, the duck search wasn't a duck. We called it a duck search, but what we were looking for is the dog's ability to what can you do for crippled game on the water?
Right.
So we pretty much pulled feathers on the bank and kicked it off the bank. The only reason we started putting it out with a boat is we got tired of throwing rocks, sticks, and waiting and anything to get the duck to get off the bank and go somewhere.
Right. So yeah, more of a time-saving thing than a.
Yeah.
But I know when I judge now with the Federation, they use that old system, that search behind the duck, and that's what's on the card. And this is what you must have seen, because I didn't see very much of it in all my years of NAVHDA, unless I actually saw the duck pop out somewhere, and then you see a dog cross the water. But they set it up to where if it works right, you start seeing that nose work on the water, in close proximity to where the thing started. And and this was only 2 years ago. I was out in Pennsylvania, and it was a pretty choppy, windy day. And I watched these dogs to just, you know what I mean by choppy, not like waves or whitecaps, just choppy. And those dogs could put it together and follow the scent of that duck on the water. And I think that's why I looked up my old handbook. And I remember, I think Bodo was part of writing of that. And it said you could judge this in like a 3 to 5 acre pond, because you were really looking for tracking on the water, right?
Well, if you think about it, hey, look, I'm a duck hunter. I mean, I duck hunt is as much as anyone can say they duck hunt. I mean, I steal time to go duck hunting. I like duck hunting. I like bird hunting too, but I like to duck hunt. I put ducks on the water, and I know what it's like to put a duck on the water, a cripple, and then send my dog and watch him. I can't direct him because I have no idea. I already know where it landed. I have no idea where it went.
Right.
And watch him put this together with his wand for that duck. He wanted to get this duck. He not only went to where it was, but expanded himself till he could find scent. And when he finds scent and found direction, went in that direction and worked it out and got the duck, is what I think Search of the Duck is all about. And if you don't want to see nose work, one of the things in the early days that we learned real early was don't shoot the duck. Because we had dogs that were coming to the ducks, what they would do is they start stalking, but they wouldn't close.
Oh.
They were intimidated with a duck on the water. They wouldn't put their mouths on the duck. Or they would dive and then they quit.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen them dive, but I've seen the good dogs just kind of tread water and look for them for a while.
So yeah, start looking and they expand and stuff. Those are the things we look. You know, I think the greatest question to ask as a judge, given enough time, will that dog get the duck?
Yes, yes.
You know, as a hunter, you say, darn right he will. If you don't, he won't be in the boat.
Right. I'm not going to hunt him next season. I'm going to have a new dog.
You know, I mean, probably not with my wife.
Well, no, you'll just because you kept Weimaraners till they died. Let's be honest, Patty.
Died, so you know that I'm not going to be able to get rid of. There's no way I'm going to get rid of anything. That's it. When we get it in the house, it's there forever, whatever. So they have to. If we have to get the most out, we have to get the most. We have to get the most out. We have to get the most out of them, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I got for the for life for the time of the dog, anyways. So.
Yeah, and then fast forwarding it, you know, some of the later years that I judged, I think it became a thing to get the bird so far away from where we're going to launch the dog that now a dog that could just cross a body of water and work its way back but never come across the scent would get a passing score. Or I mean, and that's just, I mean, it's the rules of the day, but that doesn't equate to the hunting part of it, you know?
Well, you have to, if you look at it from the lab world, from their viewpoint, all right, you know, you run a non-slip lab trial, it's straight out, straight back. Yeah. Any deviation is a deviation in score.
Right.
And if you think about it, there is a point in a line drill for a working dog, not a non-slip lab that is going to go 400 yards in a straight line. Whistle stop at 200, go through a set of stakes at 100, back out, angle back out to another 100, and then over 600 yards to something else. Well, not quite that bad, but it shows it can be directed. And man, when you watch it, it is something to watch. It's amazing. But there is a point in a line where you don't say anything. The dog has to have, okay, it's not where the mark is. Now I'm going to come home. I can't have that. He needs to break from the line and now find something.
Right.
Well, a lot of the training, they have done these line drills across ponds or whatever, but they haven't. Sometimes they haven't generated enough desire or want in the dog that if I send you and I shut up, it's time for me to turn on.
Right.
They haven't learned that.
And that, I mean, I know it can be done in a test format, like what we're looking for in a training format, but is there any, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no replacement for really duck hunting your dog for a few seasons, right? I mean, that's it almost, I remember, and I've told this story in nauseam on times on this podcast. We had a friend about 30 years ago that came out to our grounds, and one of the guys talked him into testing his wire hair. And he said, well, what do I got to do? And he was there for a Saturday. We had a little pond on this training property, and he's like, there he goes, that, and we got a heel, and he's got to bring a duck back that we drag on a cord. And he says, okay. And he showed up, and he got a 204 with this dog. He didn't know what the NAVHDA acronym stood for when he met us, right? But he hunted his dog for about 3 years in North Dakota on birds and ducks.
Yeah.
And he's a very humble guy. And we were all congratulating him and everything, because that, even then, we weren't seeing anybody get a prize won, rarely. Nothing I never did until way later on. And he said, honestly, guys, that wasn't that hard. But he had a dog that had like 3 seasons of hunting under his belt.
Oh my God. I can remember Patty and I were up in Saskatchewan, And you'd have died laughing. I tell you, this was the most frustrating time of my life. I shot this teal come by, and I shot it, and it landed out in the water, and it landed out on the edge of this grass. And I sent my dog. The dog saw it fall, launched off, went out. Next thing I know, she started going in the weeds. All of a sudden, she comes back with a coot. I send her back. She disappears in those weeds again. Goes across, gets in the weeds. Here she comes with another coot.
We didn't eat much that night.
We didn't get the teal, but we sure got a few coot. Because every time she came back, I kept throwing it behind me.
I guess that's how we're hunting today with no bullets.
Yeah, they're just gonna get coots today. But it was if you look at it from a perspective, she didn't run the bank. She took off and she went right back across. She wanted to get that duck. If she was going to get a duck and you found a coop, well, it's coming back.
Right.
It would be like you found that one, and it's coming back.
Great training.
I mean, it's tremendous.
You had your resend down pat.
Jeez, it was fantastic.
It's fun for the coot population, but really good.
Like, nothing could fire it up. Think about it. Nothing fires it up like them seeing a duck coming in. You shoot it and it falls out. They get a different drive going when they start seeing stuff like that. Sometimes they don't want to stay in the blind so long.
Right.
But, you might get some breaking, but, that brings up a great story. I was down the bay with Adam, and boy, I found this place, and I built myself a bunch of stuff, dry kite and everything. I made a nice little blind in this corner. And I went down with my buddy and I said, you got to hunt with Adam. He is doing great. And so I tied him off to the corner of this pole-like thing that was holding up my blind, right? And I was hunting with Kelly, and all of a sudden, Kelly goes, got one coming. And look, well, Adam's got it zeroed. That black came in on us. We cut loose on that, and it hit the water. And so did Adam. And so did my blind.
That's sitting here chatting with both of you. It feels like I'm on a little hunting trip. We're just on a tailgate taking a break, and that's kind of what all my early NAVHDA tests felt like. I looked forward to a judging assignment like I did a trip with my friends, because I would just make new friends. And that's, I don't want to, one of the reasons we wanted to do this, I would be real transparent. There's an election coming up, and you and I had talked, we talk whenever we see each other, but I saw both of you in Bozeman and at annual meetings, and I see you guys at Pheasant Fest, and it seems like, and I don't even know if we could put our finger on it, but what's different about NAVHDA now? Do you think? Is there a way to describe it to you, or do you think it's basically the same, but things are different?
Well, I'm concerned. I miss talking hunting. I miss talking dog development. I miss some of the conversations like at the judges' workshops we had.
Yeah.
Sometimes there was argument. How many times you've probably been to a workshop where Clyde and I got banging heads over something?
Yep.
But the neat thing is we're banging heads over it for reasons. But people listen, and they take away from it. There are grounding rules. I look at the NAVHDA rules book as is the parameter of judging. It gives me parameters, but I have to read the dog. The dog is giving me information, and these are the parameters that information needs to follow into, right? Well, I think we're losing that a little bit. I'll give you an example. It took the stakes out of walking at heel for utility.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you, I live in Maine, and if I was in the Midwest, I could see why would I need stakes. I mean, you walk with flat, wide open, no. Oh, that's a hay bale. You have to go around.
Right.
You walk in a straight line, right?
Right.
But walk in Maine, well, you've got woods, where you've got obstacles.
Right.
Dog has to stay between you and the obstacle. They have to heel, right? Well, never even got discussion. Discussed. We just
Right.
did it.
Right. And
They just did a test. They're in a judge. They decided they're gonna do that gun dog test. Well, we didn't know anything about it. Never even saw what it was gonna, how close it's gonna be the same. We're gonna take the duck out. Now they took the duck out. They were a versatile hunting dog with no duck. So all right, it was gun dog.
first gun dog.
I think it's becoming more like a corporation, a big business. But this is the way it goes. You're just gonna go this direct. I think it's time for change.
Yeah.
I think we have to change. Let's look back. Do we want to be? I don't want to be the old guy that never likes change. I don't believe that. I think our dogs have grown. Our dogs have gotten better. I think change is the good, but I think change without knowledge or change without discussion is wrong, especially with a judging quorum.
Yeah.
When you're dictating to them, okay, we can't do that. We got to do this. When you say may or will,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Well, you say will, well, that's a slippery slope for every young judge that wants to be accurate. They seem to go overboard.
Right. Right.
So now there's no parameters to the will or the may or the what.
Yeah.
And I think we don't have that right now, and we need to get back to it.
You know,
And,
Blaine, you brought up something. My first, I don't know, dozen or more judges' workshops. So I don't know, pre my time of entry, which was about, my handbook is dated in 1990. Those judges' workshops were 2-day events. And just like you said, you and Clyde might have been pounding your fist, but it wasn't because you just wanted clarity. But we had 2 days in a room with just judges that were there. Again, great for a new judge, and for the older judges, a lot of food for thought came up, and you really felt like you were doing something. You really felt like you were contributing, even if at those workshops there might be sometimes. It could be more, but let's just say 30 judges, and they would move that workshop around the country. And when we were trying to decide on things, they would get the flavor of what that group of judges from out east would feel about the judges in the Midwest and the judges in the West. And quite often the judges who could travel would hit all three of them. I know you and Patty, I don't think you missed many of anything with NAVHDA test or annual meetings. But
Well, Ron, that's exactly right. I took upon myself to tag along on all those events. And I did all the judges' workshops for many, many years. I had no interest in becoming a judge, but I loved the information. So I just sat there and sucked it up. I didn't participate, but I just loved it. I could go home, I could help people, I could train my dog. And I just feel, so I know exactly what happened at those events. And it's just heartbreaking. There is no sharing and no passion of discussions, except maybe at a bar after an event in NAVHDA now.
yeah,
It's got to go back.
yeah. I mean, that's got to be something that new leadership has to realize. Even though this might be coming it may be becoming more of a game of you could call NAVHDA a game, because there are definitely people who treat it like a game. Not this, you might live in a state that doesn't have a lot of wild bird hunting and you only get so many weeks vacation, but to treat it now where you just have to, I mean, what is the requirement for the judges meeting now? Is it just it's a Sunday for like after the annual meeting, isn't it, Blaine? I haven't been to that in a while. Is it just a short recap of how many judges we have and how many apprentices we have? What are they doing for judges education now?
So what they do is they do blasts, and the blast is something that came out of the field. Director of judging gets a blast of something that wasn't quite right or handled right by a judging team, and he makes a clarification of that rule and puts out a blast. And that blast is to let everyone know this is the direction in which NAVHDA is going to go with that particular process. Then there's the annual meeting where you pretty much talk to, but there's we're going to talk about, last year was more about the apprentices was any problems.
Right.
The thing that came up was the invitationals got to the point where it's no longer going. That's crazy. We've gotten so many dogs that we're looking at 6 days of testing or 7 days of testing. Those finances are going through the roof.
Yeah.
And they said, well, maybe we have to do a reduction. Maybe this would be a great time to have it. I think if you go look at the numbers, and I could be, and I'm not, I don't know, I could be wrong, but if you you could still have a prize one dog with a 3, but to qualify for the invitation, you needed a 4 in retrieving. I think you would knock your numbers down to a more manageable number.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that four, so well, they will only take 204s. Well, I would really knock them down. But that's a disqualifying. I just say you have to make it. Well, we say at the invitation, can't ever drop below a prize one score.
Right.
You can still give the 3 retrieve as a pass for the invitation. You don't have to change your judging rules for that. The entry to get into it, you could do, I'm just a suggestion.
Right.
You could do you have to have a 4 notes, you have to have 4 inserts, you have to have a 4 in pointing. In pointing, and a 4 in retrieve of bird.
Yeah.
All birds.
So you still get your utility score, and it's just a little higher bar to be invited to another level of testing.
It only gives you the invite.
Right.
You don't change any of your testing thing. Well, just my thought.
Right.
But those are things, and that people will probably have objections to it. You need to hear the objections. So when you have it, okay, why? Oh, geez, that makes sense. But you just say because your dog isn't capable of doing that level. Well, I don't think I do have a dog capable of doing that level, but I hope to get it once in a while, But just a thought, But we don't have that right now. It's more being told.
It's more like like mandates now, almost.
Yeah, kind of. And I think there's a lot of ego in it now. There always have been alpha people involved in that. If you're going to think you get away from that, you're crazy.
Right.
It's actually needed. It needs a strong hand, a solid, committed way to get down process. But you got to have a set of years. And if you don't have a set of years and you don't want to listen, then I think that's the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Not for a club like us that dog breeding. Hearing those scores, being able to talk one another and talk about what that history is. To me, when I judge, I look at it like this. When I write my score down, I'm trying to give an honest, objective score of what I see today.
Right.
That is history. That is history that's going to be read years beyond. We can't skew it.
Yeah.
We don't want to skew our history. We want to look at that because people make decisions on this stuff.
Right, right. You know, when I had my what I don't know what you want to call that moment. It certainly wasn't a senior moment because it was 20 years ago. So I was 20 years younger, but I ran for president. And one of the things, and I wasn't doing it because of the cost of the invitational or and at that point, even the amount of dogs, which was still somewhat a size we could handle. But my focus, one of my platforms was I wanted this to be, you could still have a test held somewhere, but that you could eventually, it would take some time. It would take, you may have 2 pieces of property the first year and maybe 5 pieces of property the next year because you have to have the grounds for it. But I wanted to see that somebody who lived in Washington State literally didn't have to go all the way to Ohio. That much time away from family, work, travel, gas, just on a monetary and logistics scale, I wanted to make this at a minimum a regional test. That if you think you've got that good of a dog, then it shouldn't be it's not a burden for you to get a utility score. You can do that in your backyard. You can open up a chapter in any state in this union. You could open up a chapter, and if you have the grounds and some water, you can earn a prize, whatever, with your dog. And if you're looking for that invitational, you could earn that prize one. But then the encumbrance on the membership to go that far, would you be opposed to like regionalizing it at some point if it was doable?
It wouldn't bother me. No, not at all. And I think we're forgetting. You're gonna fit. We're forgetting what NAVHDA is really all about, right? If we're going to go by bylaws, by mandates, how we say if I'm correct, NAVHDA mission statement should be or is to promote, protect the versatile hunting dog as we know it today. And then there's one more. What was that, Patty?
Foster,
promote, and protect the versatile hunting dog. And the reasoning to the statement was conservation.
Yes, and the recovery of game.
Right. Recovery and conservation.
Yeah.
Major component of why we do what we're doing. Right.
Right.
I'm a little confused as to directions on that as well. So there's a number of things that have concerned me over the years and where we're going. And you know what? It's every club grows. They have times of distrust, or they don't feel it's going right, and then of course elections happen, and then they get back on board.
well, our chapter, I mean, the Northeast chapter, which is when we first joined, that was it. And then we didn't want to put that crate on top of my Subaru anymore. So we started the main version, and we didn't have a chapter at that point, but then we eventually made the Yankee chapter. And then out of the Yankee chapter, we had members who spun off and started the Sebastopol chapter, the Merrimack Valley chapter, and now we have New England Seacoast chapter. And they're all run pretty similar to how we did it successfully and how we continue to do it successfully. But we all talk to each other, and we all are supportive of each other's chapters. And that's how NAVHDA grows. And I just think we can't continue not to trust. If I say something to you, you're going to come back and get me. I mean, I just see this all the time. I don't know how to stop this, vicious spiral that NAVHDA's heading in with, the politics right now. It's tough. It's tough to watch.
Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong word is to say I'm a victim of it, but I'm firsthand experience when I was released from the judging program, and this goes to me about the organization and transparency. There was a letter written, and I asked, well, can I see the letter? And they said, no, you can't. I'm like, well, that's a problem, you know? So it's, and you could translate that to what you just said about taking the stakes out of the healing course. You're like, well, what do you mean? Why? Well, because we did. It's not, there's no rebuttal. There's no, it's like somebody's decided to change NAVHDA. I don't know. I don't think anybody's trying to change it for the worst, but I don't think they see the past, and I don't think they see the best. You feel that way?
Yeah, the thing that I'm seeing, well, we're going to get a committee and we're going to get a people to promote and enhance chapter development. Okay.
Yeah.
So they say they're going to do it. So they put some money, or they design a program, and now they've got that going. One of the things that I don't see, that I think is missing a little bit, is that, well, I saw a statement and it kind of upset me, and I can't remember who it was, and I don't really much care. But it says, this person said, I've worked so hard, and NAVHDA is now at 10,000 members. The statement to me would have been, our chapters have brought NAVHDA to over 10,000 members. We're lucky if we had 100.
Right.
Right. I can remember when it was 25, we got to 50. Geez, we thought when we hit 100, that was like, oh my God, we're now, something's going right. People wanting to be involved. We used to solicit out. I can remember getting Dave Duffy to do some writing. Because his son ended up running dogs and becoming a judge. There was Tarrant was a writer.
Bill Tarrant. Yep.
Bill Tarrant came out and did things. We were reaching out, promoting, we weren't trying to get somebody to pay us money to be part of something. They wanted to be part of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Am I probably not even saying it right? I might be politically incorrect, and if I am, I apologize.
But Ron, I think you've seen over the years, and I know Blaine and I have, that it's not a hard sell.
No.
It is a, we are surrounded by our hunting buddies, our friends, our people who bought my puppies and Blaine's puppies, and everybody's on the like page, and, let's get together and train dogs. It's not going to cost a lot, until you buy the truck and you buy this and that.
Right.
But to do it yourself, and you can do it, and your dog will be better for it. Your friends will be better for it. Your family, will some sooner or later tag along and join the fun. It's not a hard sell. NAVHDA has grown because of that, not because of individuals at the top. It's because of the members of this organization.
Yeah, the Johnny Appleseeds. You're right. That's like what, going back to, I was asking Blaine when he became a judge, and it was like they kind of said, you need to become a judge. And I remember the judges that I was talking about, I was like, I wanted to kind of get their knowledge. So it was like I was all in. I would do everything I could for the chapter, for the birds, I brought my daughters out to plant birds at a test one time. A sidebar story, like you're talking goofy things that happen at tests that you remember. I thought my daughters were old enough to go wrangle up some pheasants out of those pheasant boxes. And we had some pretty good pheasants that year. And Mackenzie pulled the top lid open, and they just started bailing out like a tower chute.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Jesus.
So-
Oh, yeah.
And see, and all you heard was as we watched all of our pheasants for the track, just flying up like a tower chute, and we had to adapt, and we had to use chuckers that day. And we didn't need a mandate. We didn't call anybody. We had judges that had experience, said we're gonna do this. They could adapt, and nobody, I think today they would have got, I hate to say this, but they would have got at least 3 complaint letters that my dog never tracked a chucker before. It's only tracked pheasants. And that's not the point, right?
We had the same thing happen to us. We lost the pheasants. Fatty got smart, walked around, found a bunch of fish nets, gave them to the kids, and they were going out through the woods catching pheasants.
You had more kids than I did.
Hey, the moments like that you're describing and Blake's describing are things you're never going to forget. That's the fun,
Yeah.
It's the tragedy of the moment, but it's what makes those memories. Everybody comes together and fixes stuff. Yeah.
Oh, and we used to want to get to those annual meetings.
Oh.
My God, there was. How many times did you have a wet butt?
Oh, yeah. The annual meeting, people who are new to this and have maybe only hit the last 1, 2, 5, or 6 of them, you got to go back a little ways. And Patty, and if I remember right, Julie Carlstrom was always in the mix on this.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And
Sean Clark. Oh yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, Sean Clark.
Yeah, Sean. We had so much fun. Oh my gosh.
And this kind of ties into what Patty was saying, how you just went somewhere and another person's like, wow, I don't have to drive that far, but I could have a chapter, but I could still be friends with the chapter I was friends with. And they called it the Ooga Ooga Club. And what it was we'd have an adjoining room. I know you guys know it. I've explained it for the listeners. We'd have an adjoining room, like when a lot of hotels still do if you find one, but we'd have a suite with an adjoining sleeping room. And they would close that off and put a piece of notebook paper on it and real clandestinely invite somebody in there. And everybody was what they doing? It's none of your business. It's a kind of an initiation. And you wanted so bad to what was going on. And then if you went over by that door, it would almost be like you'd have to put an armed guard there because, they would lock it, and you would hear laughing behind that door. Like what's going, I want to be part of it. And what the gag was, and I remember Julie did it to me. So this again, for people that have never seen this, and you may only find it hysterical if you've been there, but I'm sorry, I got to tell you. So you go in there and they have you sit on a chair, just like on a desk chair, and you're in between the beds. And Julie was sitting on the other bed, and I'm kind of like a prisoner under interrogation. And she had a couple of hangers out of the closet. And she would like chant some stuff. And you had to do like Simon Says, what ooga ooga. And she would tap you on the shoulder and say ooga ooga.
Stand up.
And then she would stand up and you would stand up, and she'd get you doing it about 3 times. And first of all, you're kind of just staring at Julie. We're all having a beer and we're all thinking like, what is it? I'm finally in this room. Like I finally have a dog. What is this all about? And then somebody would slip a soaking wet bath towel on that chair and you'd sit down and you would have a big wet ass for the rest of the night. And
Oh my God.
Come on, we'll be playing that next year in Texas.
we have to.
Big Clowners used to golf.
Where's the golf? Remember golf all the way down the corridor, off the door, into the bathroom, into a cop.
Right.
We played the quarter horse races. Do you all remember that?
We be careful with all the stuff that went on.
There was some fun nights.
It was.
I mean, actually, I hope
Oh my
nobody
God.
goes to those.
Laugh.
The hospitality suites kind of dried up. People don't. We've got to revamp that whole part of it.
I was sitting at the last one, and cause all the it seems like all the invitational judges were there, or some of them, all the judges and different people. They ended up going to one area, and they congregated. And then there were all these young people having beer, sitting there, looking at the wall, kind of in left field. And we would have never had that at NAI enemy. Somebody of any influence would have been right in their lap,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So I sat down.
Clyde brought one year. He brought a Jenga game, a like life-size Jenga game.
I remember that.
Yeah, 2x4s. Oh my God! Yeah, we played heads up with you know, the pantomime of
Yeah. Oh yeah, we all had always had group stuff going on. And then there was a lot of dog training.
You and one with the fish with
Oh,
Angie and her husband. They made this fish way, and it was a racetrack for the fish.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great.
And to your point about the last one, so we would be in these hospitality suites, and yeah, there'd always be 10 or 15, maybe 20% of people who, let's say they came as a delegate from their chapter, so you know they want to get involved with it. But then they were in the room with all the senior people of, I don't mean judges, but I mean the people who've been there before, and those games brought them in. You know, it'd be like having cornhole tournament. Like if you were over on one side of the yard and you didn't invite the people on the other side of the yard, it's not going to be as good of a tournament, right? And we always brought, and then those people wanted to come back. They went back to the chapter and told them what a good time they had. It's not supposed. What do they say about if you do something you love, you never work another day in your life, right?
Yep.
And that's how NAVHDA used to feel. You were doing something that you loved. And yeah, it's got to, the ship's got to turn to where we feel like, you know, this, like the country, like the states have a voice. There's not one or two people. There's got to be improvements made in it. And I know we have an election coming up this year, and you know, I'm voting for some change. You know, I want to see some new faces. I want to see some new policies. Personally, on a personal level, Blaine, I'm never going to run the Invitational again. I don't have a dog that I spend enough time training with, but I want to have a good hunting dog. But I still want people to fall in love with what I fell in love with, instead of just coming to somewhere and leaving. I don't want them going back saying, boy, I could do better at that test. I want them saying, God, I wish I could get an invite to go hunting with Blaine or Ron or Patty. You know, that's what I wanted to take away from NAVHDA, like who we are. You know?
I agree. I think right now, if you feel the adrenaline, everybody's adrenaline building, and I'm not talking the election, I'm talking hunting, the arsenal hunting. So everybody is now, you know, I'm going here, I'm going there. My dog is, you know, hopefully stays steady, and I'm going to meet up with them, and that same adrenaline should be within our organization, and I don't see it right now.
Yeah, you know,
Going to the Invitational, the adrenaline is there, the commitment's there. You've been working your heart out all summer to do it, but it's like 1% of our membership, is it?
yeah,
2%. It's costing our organization so much money, you know, for 1% of our membership, and it's a great title. I've done it twice. I passed twice. You know. And I've attended, Blaine's gone, you know, and my friends have gone, and we've gone and cheered everybody on and supported people. It's wonderful. But I think we have to, you know, make it more rounded for everybody to keep our numbers up, our membership healthy, and in the direction of hunting and our dogs.
Yeah, and I think we could do that if we can. When we both said, I think all three of us said, bring it back to what it was. It's not about the Ooga Ooga Club, but all that stuff combines that camaraderie and the laughter. You know, a takeaway that it really bothered me. There was, I can't remember her name. Can't remember. I think she was running a white. No, maybe it was a griffin. I wish I could remember the girl's name, because I'm not one afraid to say, if I heard somebody say something, and I wasn't sworn to secrecy, I would say, oh, I ran into Patty Carter. So I'm going to use Patty's name. Okay. So picture Patty Carter after the Invitational. She did not pass because of steadiness. And I heard Patty.
That was Blaine Cotto.
Well, yeah. Hey,
But that was Blaine.
Okay. All right. So I heard Blaine say, and then I heard Patty say, well, we got to pack up and we're going to go to Montana because we're going to go sharptail hunting. And to hear Blaine say, well, I'm not going to hunt Greta because I want to run her in utility next year, and I don't want her to lose any steadiness during hunting season.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
No, but I heard those words come from a handler's mouth.
Oh.
And I felt so bad for that dog. So that dog is going to miss a hunting season because that title was more important than hunting for that person.
That's really sad. You
That's-
gotta really on top of that.
Yeah. So if that exists, I am sure
Right.
if I heard it once with my own ears, which I swear on my mother's grave I did, then
So did you say anything to this person?
I didn't. I didn't know her enough. I knew the girl she was talking to,
Yeah.
and I was just like, well, I'm not going to say, what's the matter
I'm
with
gonna
you?
stuck my foot in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I wish I had an
I
opportunity.
made a new friend, and she would have been hunting with me this fall.
Right. And then we might have been able to explain to her, dogs know the difference too. Right. So,
How do you know the character of nothing tells the character of an animal more than hunting.
right. Right.
Why, if this is part of your breeding program, or this is part of your quest, where the quest you're on with your particular animal, why don't you find out where his weaknesses are? We can train, we can change weaknesses. We have programs for all that stuff.
Right.
And pretty terrible dogs have done very well with it. I mean, if you look at the Silent Command with the Rip Boys, they're running tremendous programs for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of information and stuff out there, but to deny yourself of the opportunity to see your weaknesses in your character for the building of a breeding program is ridiculous.
Yeah. And because it is a hunting dog, it's in the acronym hunting dog.
Is there a hunting dog?
And
Yeah, that's
It's not a hunting dog. It's your hunting dog.
right. And now, like what Patty said, I think I would have had to make a new friend and got her to go hunting with me, which I'm glad you said that, Patty. You know what and this is just an observation, but it made me think of it after you said it. That person may also find out that dog retrieved really good out hunting. It just didn't like being overtrained for it. They could learn that at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I agree.
and that was the neat thing about NAVHDA. Back in our day, my day anyways, we always were corresponding what we were judging as to what we wanted in a hunting dog. Once we defined a hunting dog, that made it much more easy for us to make the replacements for our testing.
Yeah. It has to be focused on, it has to be the hunting focus has to be in every facet of it. It was intended to be. None of those parts were, well, I would say maybe except for the drag, right? We're only looking for cooperation and obedience. So I guess you could almost say the drag, I can't remember anything ever dragging off my duck. I seen ducks swim off and pheasants run off, but it's clear in the test that it's what it's for. We're not judging nose or anything, but the test is about recovery of game. And like that focus alone, I don't see it in the magazine. I don't see the articles enough to talk about why we're doing this and what we should be doing. So again, we've got an election coming up here, and I hope we can get some change. and I'll put my hand up and volunteer for a board or something. But you know, they may not like what I'm going to say, but I think I'm going to speak from at least some experience. And people like you and Patty, you've got you've got 100 years of knowledge of this stuff. 100 years, my God.
Tagging along, you know.
Patty, you could have gone. I guarantee you know that was not something you ever did. But if a judge didn't show up, they would let us run with 2 judges. It's happened a couple times. But worst case was if 2 didn't show up and Patty was there, Patty could have not only ran the test, she could have field marshaled and judged. Am I right, Blaine?
Thank you. But you know, we haven't discussed why that. I mean, like I said, I love the workshops and I love the education.
Right.
And my family will sit around the table, and I'm sure there's other families around the country.
Right.
Now the families that sit around the table and discuss stuff. I love it because I gain information.
Well,
But
Mr.
the Aims and Rules Clinic, we haven't even talked about that. Is not just. It is the best thing to get the non-judges
Yes.
and it's involved and hook them in the organization, help them understand and make every question welcomed versus these poor judges that are sitting in workshops and they can't ask questions.
Right.
You know, I love the information you gained at that Ames and Wilson. I've been to 20, I bet.
Listen, I might have done more than that. I'm not sure. One of the things that I learned a lot was my daughter is an apprentice right now. I guess this year I think she's got enough dogs to maybe get put out. So we'll see. But one of the things that I enjoyed was she came to me, she said, Dad, I gotta sit down. But I don't understand something. So she get a rules book out, she's reading the rule, and she says, I went out and I judged the dog and I saw this and I seem to want to go in this direction with that. I said, so we would discuss it, right?
Yeah.
And then I said, well, wait a minute, give me the corporations. Read cooperation as it's written in the book. Right. And she reads it back to me and I go, did anything catch with this performance? Did anything catch your eye or catch your hearing in what you've seen or what you read? Did something jump out at you all of a sudden? Did it seem gray? And she goes, yes, it's there. You know, this particular whatever it might be. And we would discuss it. And she says, well, I look at it this way. Well, I look at it this way, right? Yeah. I was having those days when I was learning. I now have my daughter in it.
Right. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to actually sit down and nurture. I wasn't nurturing. I was seeing her reading of dogs and her interpretation. And in a few cases, I have to be honest with you, she brought light to me.
Right. Right. And like you said early on in this conversation an hour ago, you like those workshops because you take something away from it. You'd hear something like, that makes sense. So you're still learning. Yeah.
No one talks about the side venues. I've seen workshops where the meeting has gone on and half a dozen people out in the corridor talking about what they just dropped off from. Yeah. And was out and disagreed with, and then come to a conclusion and brought out some energy in it, and then come back to the room and re-interject it.
Yeah, it would be whenever Joe DeLisi went out for a cigarette.
Yes. I'm right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I want to bring 3 things back. I want to see it easier for people to, if they want to go that high level, easier for them to logistically get there. I want to see the hunting aspect emphasized, the conservation of game. And on a personal level, I want to see smoking come back. Because
I get it.
I like to bring my cigar in the field, and I was just at I went up to go watch a test this spring up in northern. You know, I was going to throw something stupid in there. I went up to a property this spring to see my friends up at the northern chapter, and guy came up to me and says, "Hey, could you put that out?" I had one of my cigars in my mouth, and I said, "Oh yeah, they're starting to serve lunch." He goes, "No, it's got nothing to do with lunch. I don't want anybody smoking on my property." I was like, "Wow, this is not the same." I'm not saying you're supposed to smoke. I'm not encouraging people to smoke, but even that. You know, it's almost like we got the sign at the motel, smoking 25 feet away from the door. Like something happened where I'm not saying, I'm not going to start passing out cigars at the next test, but I want to see things get back to like some balance and all these things we've been talking about for the last hour and a half.
Well, yes, you gotta. I just wish the people, if there's anybody that listens to our foolishness, but I just would hope that they understand that these offices that are up for reelection, right? Especially the ones that there's more than one person on the ballot.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
For election and re-election.
For election or re-election, whatever. Okay. They're going to be making decisions for these organizations as the director of judging, director of training, all these directors are going to come out from their decisions on where they want to, what people they want to place in these situations.
Yeah.
You might want to really think about who you're putting in there in regards to that, because some of those people they may go for may not be the people you really need in there, because this is going to go more so in the direction that it's going right now. It's right. And this isn't the chapters, the people that are doing it, they're a family. NAVHDA is a family organization. We argue, we do, but every chapter has a base family that grows itself. And if we don't nurture that and get back to those grounding ourselves back in that, going to an annual meeting where I can talk to new people and they talk to me and we get talking about dog training, talk about hunting. What you got for hunting?
Yeah.
Where do you hunt?
Yeah. Where are you going?
You like another person to hunt with?
Right.
You know, I'd be glad to join you. I think it's starting my own business. Have hunt, I'll travel.
Ron's already doing that, Blaine.
Well, you got a franchise on that. I just bring it in.
Well, you know, my nickname is Ronnie Free Shit, so I've been using.
You haven't put a dog crate on a Subaru, have you?
No.
You're not far from it. You have your tent on top of your truck.
That's true. I'm kind of going back. Lastly, I'll let Tom, like, we could probably go on all afternoon, but it would only just be more funny stories. But I've got a 1997 membership directory here. And the point I want to make was I think we still have a membership list. Things are online. I know but this was like a little phone book for us back in the day. And Davey, has anybody's, this one's got this one's got a green border and the beige front on it. And and I'm looking at it and I've got highlight lighters. Like I took a highlight marker and went through all the different people I knew in the organization. I was taking a vacation. This is 25 years ago. To Florida. I was working out of town. My wife was going to fly down with the kids, but I always traveled with a couple of my dogs. And I literally looked in this book and I looked for any member that was in Florida. Now I know we can do that electronically now. That's great. But what I want to get to is I looked up a guy's name and it happened to be Pat Saunders, and I didn't even know he was a judge. In fact, I don't even think he was no, he wasn't a judge then. I just looked him up, cold called him, told him, I'm coming through Florida. I need a place to board my dogs. Do you have any recommendations on boarding kennels? You know, it's just, good detective work on my part, right? Find another person that's NAVHDA so he knows what I'm like. He's a hunter. Yeah. And he says, yeah, I know a boarding kennel. It's in my backyard. And he took both of my dogs got along with each other. They lived in their own kennel run for a week. And he made dinner for me when I got there. He didn't know me from Adam. But that's what that NAVHDA family was like.
So let me tell you a great story about Pat Saunders. Blaine did to the training clinic, maybe a test down there. I was there, and maybe it was the annual meeting. I don't know, but anyway, he came up to. We got talking. He lived in our house in Brunswick before we lived in our house in Brunswick.
No way.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's a picture of his house. I go, that's my house.
Well, that's where my kennel lived.
I think he was in the Navy.
He was at the Naval Air Station in Brunswick.
Isn't that funny?
And he lived on and my house was Merrymetting Road, is where I lived, and that's how I got my kennel name. I named it Merrymetting Kennel. Came from Merrymetting Road. Well, he lived in my house before I lived in.
First, we learned that he lived on Merrymetting Road, but when he showed us the house, it was like totally out of body.
Oh my God. The one name
Great man.
the one name I could pick up a story on, and it was him. And we couldn't tie it up.
That's NAVHDA. That's what we need to do.
Exactly.
We need to be able to do that.
And make sure that the family part of it is there, grows stronger. It's just, the next time I do this, I will tell a story about Pat Saunders that makes me laugh every time, but we just don't have enough time. And
Okay.
Blaine and Patty, for everything that you've done, and I know what you do. People probably, only the people in your area know what you do. You literally have an open driveway to your members of your chapter, and people who aren't even a member of your chapter. I was at your house and it wasn't testing time yet, or the test was over, and some people were just coming over, and you put some birds out for them, or you showed them something on it. I mean, what you two have done for NAVHDA, and when I met people like you at the first annual meeting and I felt welcomed, it was the hook was in my jaw, and it was one of those hooks where you need pliers to get out. It was in the jawbone. It wasn't in my lip.
Well, how long after that did you bring the tiki lights to the tent?
Well,
In the parking lot.
I did.
Very creative.
Well, that was only because that was when there was an annual meeting, and they were going to take everybody to Cabela's to go shopping, and I already had a Cabela's in my backyard, and a lot of people didn't. And I was like, well, I'm not going to Cabela's. And I went to Walmart and I bought a bunch of tiki torches and lamp oil, and I put them out in the parking lot. And as people filtered back in, that parking lot became the hospitality suite. That's
at the Invitational in Iowa, I think it was. Yeah. A few years ago, 21, when Blaine ran, we emptied the lobby of the hotel we were staying in and put it under the awning of the driveway, the parking lot there, in and out. And we had all the tables, all the cushy chairs, everything. That's the party.
right in the parking lot.
It was like right after COVID. Like, nobody said a word. Just said
They said, well, we're gonna eat. I said, well, Kentucky Fried Chicken's right next door. I'll go get chicken. So I went over there. I didn't drive over. I walked over. Well, it was COVID. They wouldn't let you in the store. So I went through there was one car. I stood behind the car, right? He drove off. I drove up. I walked out, and I knocked on the window. They opened the window. I says, can I have a bucket of chicken? He says, you have to have a car. I said, I got money. He goes, they're supposed to have a car. He says, well, I've been drinking. They won't let me drive. Can I have a bucket of chicken? I'll give you an extra $5. They gave me the bucket of chicken, and I walked home.
I wish I was in the car.
Keep chopping with you.
I want to be in the car behind you, watching you do it.
It was. Oh yeah, that's the kind of stuff that.
That was for Terry. He wanted the chicken.
Yeah, Terry had to have the damn chicken. You know.
I can't thank you guys enough. I mean,
It's been fun.
I wanna, hunting season's right around the corner. You guys are scouting for geese, and I'm heading to Virginia to knock a few doves off the power lines, and it goes so fast. We just got to keep a little bit of the old, right? We're okay with a little change, but we got to be part of it, and it's got to be for the best. Yeah.
Well, I hope NAVHDA listen to the
People.
listen to the people, listen to what they have to say, and then make your decisions. But this probably is going to be one of the most crucial years
Yes,
that we've seen in a while, and we need to change.
we do. We do. All right. I love you guys. I can't wait to see you again. I don't know where it'll be, but it's always somewhere.
Okay.
All right, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Blaine. Thanks, Patty.
You're welcome.